I'm all good. If I
Okay.
ramble on, just cut me off whenever you like.
Okay. So the first question, kind of just like in general, when did you always know you wanted to go into the food industry, or was that something that like when you were older you started to feel like you wanted to do that?
Yeah, absolutely not. Did I think that I was going to be in the food industry? Nor when I was younger did I really want to. I think it kind of it put a bad taste in my mouth then, because when I was a kid, I spent my summers and like instead of getting a babysitter, we would go to my dad's store. We would sit in his office. We would play toys with our toys in the office or in the kitchen. So I didn't realize how much I would appreciate it in the later years back then. But when I was a kid working in the kitchen, I had to make fresh mozzarella, and I spent my summers making Italian sausage from scratch, and finding out these life kind of attributes that I never expected to use. But back then, I hated it. It sucked. My friends are out playing, enjoying their summers, and I'm stocking shelves in a deli. I'm putting my hands in boiling water, massaging mozzarella as like a 12-year old, where it's like this is terrible. I definitely don't want to do this. I can't wait to get out of it. Later on, after finding my way in my own professional career, I worked my way up to food and beverage director of a hotel downtown. Was a top 200 hotel in the nation, and I saw a lot of what was going on in our market. Friends of mine opening these super expensive restaurants and people recreating cuisine, and doing all these crazy fusions. And then my family had this business for 40 years with 5 stars across the board. They were organic before organic was a term because they cared about what they were putting into their families' bodies, and that meant something. And while I was downtown, I realized that there's a lot of old school things that they could be doing better, sure, but there's a lot to be said about what they've done. And part of me opening this restaurant was trying to take the downtown levels of service and operations and marketing that I've learned, but translate that with the old school work ethic, quality of ingredients, consistency, and real genuineness when you make and cook your food. There has to be a passion behind it, and sometimes going to the fundamentals, I think, really helped me out. It was really important for me to get back to.
And so, what would you say was like the inspiration for BarTucci and its menu and its like what were you pulling from? I guess.
You know, I was kind of, I had a moment when I was at the hotel thinking about, all the money these guys are spending to do new and unique stuff, and how going back to the old school has some credibility. And my dad is getting older. Um, 6 years ago, I just had a couple family members pass away. Um, and it was one of those things where they're not going to be around forever. Uh, you know, so when I'm seeing this younger generation, especially like even some of my sisters that didn't have the direct opportunity that I did as the boy in the family to work in the stores, they lost. I feel like looking back, and if I didn't do those things as a kid, I lost some things. And there's plenty of people like your age that kind of got skipped over from Nonna to making like what are the chances that you or someone, maybe you, but someone your age is gonna show their kids spend a whole Sunday peeling tomatoes with the whole family to make marinara for the year, or hand rolling gnocchi by hand. And those are some memories that I had with my nonna, and beautiful pictures I shared with my sister and my family from when we were growing up. So I decided, the concept of the place would be a Sunday at Nonna's house. In fact, we did a dinner series for a while ago, one Sunday every month, where I called all of my Italian friends that I grew up with, all of my dad's old customers, any Italian lady that was a kumare or a zia over the years, and I started doing a dinner series called Sundays with Nonna. So I have a different Nonna come in once a month. They're all from different regions. They're all Italian. I pick up an Uber Black car for them. I have some flowers. They feel like a superstar. And at the end of the day, what does Nonna really want? Nonna just wants some attention, and she wants people to appreciate her food, right? There's nothing better than Nonna cooking and people enjoying it. And it's a magnetic feeling. It attracts good vibes to a lot of people. So I started doing that, and it turned out really well. And we were able to cultivate so many recipes and techniques in the process that would otherwise be lost if we weren't doing something like this. Once they passed away, a lot of these, it's one thing to write down recipes, but the
Mm-hmm.
techniques, the details, the between the lines of the ingredients is what we'll never have again once these ladies pass. So it was important to
Mm-hmm.
me to keep that and cherish it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like something that you have to, it's like an oral history, like how they would pass down stories, but
Yeah, of
instead you
course.
have to like witness the cooking
You're
happen.
absolutely right, and that's even if Nonna has a recipe written down. Most of them aren't. So
Yeah, exactly.
there is a level of spending time, and like I could tell somebody to knead pasta dough, and I could give you the step by step A to B process, but the feel of it, the
Mm-hmm.
graininess of the semolina, how soft it should be, how when you poke it with your thumb, how that dough would actually expand again. That you can only do that with someone teaching you and feeling it and seeing it. It's not something you can read off a recipe card. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, I'm keeping that little idea alive in this little restaurant at Harlem Avenue.
So how important was it for you to open the restaurant near your family's other businesses? I mean, it's kind of a unique situation that you guys have like that
Yeah,
little a little island happening there, but how important was it for
a
you to be like
piazza. It's a
right
piazza.
exactly. Yeah. How important was it to like open right across the street, right next door from the other businesses that your family has?
It was extremely important. I would say that's kind of a twofold question. For me personally, it was important because I left these businesses in my early 20s to go downtown and to find some careers for myself, partly because of creative and operational differences with my dad. He's an old school Southern Italian, and I feel like if I didn't expand and kind of spread my wings, I would still just be kind of an employee of his now. Those old guys, they don't know how to trust people. They don't know how to let go. They don't know how to grow. They're the type, if they think they can do something better, they'll do it themselves. Where I'm the type that invests in people and want to see people grow, whether that's with me or moving on somewhere else. So there was a little bit of a chip on my shoulder to come back and make it a point that I know what I'm doing and I can do it better, and to show them. And that's kind of that male Italian machismo ego coming in a little bit. Um, but it was also part of the story in the restaurant. You can't have a restaurant with my concept without the story of the 40 years of making pasta next door.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping things in a little neighborhood mercato feel where like if you went to a piazza in Italy, you'd stop, at the fishmonger and then the meatmonger and then a little pastificio, and then you'd get some fresh produce. And it's a little ecosystem of businesses, and that creates a vero Italiano feeling, and that's something I feel like we've accomplished here.
And so you said like we can characterize BarTucci as like traditional Italian, but how do you see like expanding the menu or the business? Does that mean adding different elements, like changing, maybe incorporating Italian American like cuisine or things like that? Or do you see it just kind of sticking to the traditional?
I would never see it sticking to one thing, and the restaurant business in your menu, we're always adapting, we're always changing certain ingredients. Excuse me. certain ingredients are better at certain types or certain seasons. So I might feature, in May and in June, I might feature the zucchini flowers because, a local nonna picked them from her garden. But, other than seasonal changes to the menu, I think our menu tells the story. I don't stick to just, true Italian or just Italian American. I would say it's a hybrid of like my story. I think my menu, there's plenty of items on my menu that will speak to stories happening in my life. Like when I was a kid, me and my sisters would love after dinner, my dad would wrap the prosciutto di Parma around the melone, right? Around the cantaloupe. And we loved that as kids. And it was like an exciting thing. My dad would come out with the plate and we'd fight over it. So I made a prosciutto and melone risotto, which is something that you would never see in an Italian, in most Italian restaurants. At least I haven't seen it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But we created a new dish based on some of the stories that we tell, that I tell in my life, and we tell through the restaurant. At the same time, you'll find some unique items like that, but then we always have the old school staples like the linguini frutti di mare, and we make old school calabrese style bracciole, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
it's part of the story.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just became the president of the Harlem Avenue Little Italy Business Association. So part of that goal is not only helping businesses in the community, but keeping our culture strong and alive through commerce and through bettering the community. So I think it's something that I didn't really care about as a kid, right, when it was being shoved down my throat. But in my older years, I definitely appreciate it. And, I do my best at being a leader in the Italian American community as a result.
So that's basically it. Those are my
Cool.
questions. Thank you so much for
Yeah, my
taking
pleasure.
time to answer them.
I have a question. I have a question for you.
Okay.
When are you going to come in and eat some beautiful Italian food?
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I will definitely let you know when I'm coming to eat pasta.
Please. Awesome.
Because I need
I
pasta.
look forward to it. Until then, never call sauce gravy. And we'll see you
Of course
soon.
not.
All right.